Okay, you guys. I'm going to tell you about my morning, and you'll understand why I'm saying, saying what I'm going to say. Okay. We had. Okay. To start out with, there was the stink in our back porch. We didn't know where it came from. We thought maybe a dog or a cat or an animal got under the porch and died, right? Well, anyways, so we changed the water. We thought maybe the rats or the mice got in the water, and that didn't help. And then, to make a long story short, this morning I went out, took care of the dogs, and the smell was just it was gross. And I was like, Lord, I really want to know where that smell is coming from. I wish I could know. And I didn't think anything of it more. And then I thought, I'm going on a trip, so I want to take care of my husband before I go. So I was going to make burritos. And we have lamb meat in the freezer. Now you get it. So, I guess to back things up, we turned off the power because we had some problems with our little heater turning off the breaker, so we turned off the power. In the meantime, I didn't reset the plug that went into the deep freezer. Yeah. So, I guess where the smell was coming from. And so, anyways, I thought, well, I need to get some lamb meat to unthaw. And so I did, and I opened up the freezer, and oh my goodness, I was like, I couldn't even close it. I just had to run away and get fresh air, and it was really gross. And I thought, oh, Lord, I really don't want to deal with this. But I had to clean up the mess and bag up the rotten meat that stunk so bad. And anyways, as I was bagging it up, the Lord started talking to me and tell me, about Him being the power source, and how if we're not plugged into the power source, we can become rotten, and we can become dead, rot. How did He describe it? Rotten, raw, decaying flesh, like the animal, the lamb that was rotten, decaying, and it was uncooked, and it stunk like nobody's business. So, as I was doing this, I was like, Lord, I get the point. But anyways, I was talking to the Lord about this. I was like, Lord, this is a very bad illustration. Couldn't you make an illustration a lot better for me than this one? And He's like, yeah, it kind of hits the mark, huh? And I was like, oh yeah, I will never forget this lesson. And He's like, and He just kept on telling me. I wish I had my iPad. I put it on Facebook and stuff, and the wording, that it was the 5 hours went by, and of course you forget every little detail, right? But anyways, I was like, okay, Lord, I get the point. You surrender. I'll stay plugged in to the power source. And He's like, no, you need to remember this illustration so you can use it. And I was like, okay, Lord, what do I do with this information? And he's like, I give you the illustration to teach my people what it is to be unplugged from the power source, which is Jesus. And I was like, okay. And he's like, great. You know the information. You know how to get plugged in. You know how to stay plugged in. Now, go teach my people these things. And I was like, by this illustration of meat rotten in the freezer for who knows how long. I mean, there was flies collecting, and it was so bad. It was a deep freezer shut, and I could still smell it inside my house. Okay. Anyways, as I was getting the meat out of there, I was like, oh, this is so gross. And I was transporting it to another location because I have to wait for my husband to get home to unlock the back gate so he can take this raw, dead animal flesh that's no good for nothing. I can't even cook it. I would not even feed it to my enemy. So it was, and I was like, okay, I get the point. Whatever I have to do to clean this mess up. And anyways, not to gross any of you out if you're eating, or it's not to gross you out whatsoever. This was an illustration of what the Lord was wanting to teach me and the people that listen to this. So, how do we stay connected to the power source so we don't rot away and start smelling like dead, rotten animal flesh that's been in the freezer for who knows how long? And you know, it's interesting because as I was driving to town, I was thinking about this, and the Lord's like, not everybody rots away as the same if they're unplugged. At first, they start losing their joy. Then they start getting depressed. Then they start drinking, smoking, doing drugs to feel that hurt, that something's missing feeling, and different levels and at different times. And it was interesting because when I was opening up the fridge, the things on top weren't so bad as, they were still rotten, of course, but they were not as gross as the bottom. The longer you get unplugged from this power source, the more it's going to stink. And afterwards, even my hair stunk, my fingers stunk, my skin's just being in that environment. And I just stripped everything, put it in the washer, took a shower, and stuff. But how do we stay connected, is the whole thing. Well, first, prayer. And prayer really helps. Talking to God, just normal, like me and you are talking. That's how like when I told the Lord, what is stinking? Show me. You know, that was not, oh, thou Lord, you know, how we think prayer is religiously, but just everyday conversation, just that's how I talk. I talk to God like He's my best friend. He is my best friend. So, number one, prayer. Number two is fellowship with other people that have the same faith values as you are. You do. Let's see. Worship is really good. Just letting it play can plug you back into the power source. Worship, dancing, a dance before the Lord, and it doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to, clapping is a form of dancing. Drawing, any expression of you in worship, singing with the music, lifting your hands, just regular worship, however you feel comfortable worshiping the Lord. Bible reading is a major one because say your faith is low, so faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the Word of God. So even if you're just hearing it, you're plugged into that power source. And if I put this pin in a light socket, automatically I'm going to get power. That's it. When you start reading the Word of God, automatically you're plugged in. You're getting the power from God. So you got prayer, you got worship, you got fellowship, you got reading of the Word, going to church, because that will teach you, that will help you make good relationships. First of all, you'll meet other people that have the same beliefs in Jesus as you do. So that's it, you guys. Was my illustration for the day. And when I get home, I still have to take care of the freezer and the mess. But pretty much that was my morning. That was I was nice and happy, and then I encountered a little mess that I had to clean up. And sometimes that's how life is. We go along and we think, no big problem, and then we encounter something that we have to deal with. And basically the freezer had no power. And the stuff in the freezer became the smell outside of the freezer. So, and you can hide from being not plugged into the power source, which is Jesus, for quite a while, until things start snowing. You start saying bad words, and you start skipping the church meeting here, or not reading the Bible, or saying mean things, and then that stink becomes part of you. And the only way you can wash that stink off is by getting into God's presence, like taking a shower, and and changing our clothes from just I don't care about all that, to get into God's presence and have Him wash you clean with the Word. That's it, you guys. We'll talk to you later. Bye.